So now that the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller has been revealed, and it's this like two-toned white and black with some blue accents from the light bar, kind of that design, people are now wondering, of course, what the system looks like. If you remember with the PS4, they showed us the controller months before we saw the system. The system was revealed at E3. The PS4 controller was revealed at the end of February during their little conference where Mark Cerny showed us things about the system, and then he'll show us games, something we haven't really seen for the PlayStation 5 yet. So I'm expecting to find out what the system looks like in either May or June, and then a big marketing push up until either the end of October or early to mid-November when the system launches. So, of course, now that we have an idea of Sony's direction for the overall design of this system, because we're kind of assuming, okay, if the controller is like this white and black two-tone design, will the system be that way as well? It would be strange to pair this controller that has a white and black design with just a basic looking system. A lot of us are believing that the system will have at least some sort of relation to the controller in terms of its two-tone look, which means that fan renders are getting a bit wild now, and they're using that controller's color scheme and design to kind of work into an idea that they have for the system itself. Now, two of these, at least to me, look like they're very possible, and then a few of them are also kind of out there, but it's always fun to look at them. I think the people who make these are very, very talented, and I'll leave links to all of these different concepts down below in the description. But let's take a look at what people think the PS5 could look like, and you should let me know down below what you think the best one of these is, and make sure you like the video if you do enjoy it. So we're going to start with this PlayStation 5 concept. This is from Robo3687. It's much easier when people put their name directly in the image for sourcing, but this is Robo's idea of what the PlayStation 5 could look like. Now, they also went on to do another rendering, an idea for its design, different form factor. We'll go over that one next. But looking at this one, it does have the idea of like a futuristic look. I mean, if you look at the controller, the PS5 controller that we have now, the DualSense, people have remarked that it looks and seems like it's kind of going for a futuristic look to it with that white and black design. So I get why people are getting a bit crazy. This looks strange. It almost looks like the system is like in a casing, kind of, where like the white casing's kind of like a skeleton around it. They still have like the blue light on the front, which seems like that would make sense. All these renders have like the blue light that kind of goes to white and all of that still built into it, which is what we assume will be there. But this one to me is like the most out there. But Robo just had to go a little further. Here is the PS5 Tower concept, similar of course to the Xbox Series X idea. I don't think that Sony will go this route. I believe it's going to be a very standard looking system that we're used to. When Microsoft showed the Series X, we were all caught off guard. Yes, it looked like a PC or a fridge, but we weren't used to this vertical build like that for a system. We've been able to stand our systems up since the PS2, but it was strange. I really like the idea of the grate at the top being all of the different symbols from the PlayStation controller. Sony does kind of sneak those in, by the way, into some of their systems as like Easter eggs, kind of like. For example, we had the PlayStation 4 had like the symbols, the triangle, cross, circle, and square on the screw that held the hard drive in, and that was not something you would see normally, but it was hidden in there. And things like that are pretty neat. But I like the idea more and more now of a tower system since the Series X has kind of grown on me, but I do not believe that Sony will go this route. I also like the idea of illuminating, at least having the option of doing so, the different ports if they go that route. I don't know if those are ports or like the vents at the bottom there. It's not as detailed for this, but I think that would be really cool to have a way to illuminate, even very slightly, the ports on like the back of the system, because you have to kind of look around behind it to try to plug something in. I think if you could light those up somewhat, that'd be really cool. But I will give them credit. This design goes with that controller pretty well. Just like it actually looks like it goes together. Kind of the black, although it looks a little more gray there, and then the disc going to in the bottom, kind of flat. That's interesting. I mean, if you look at the Series X, it is more of it's a vertical disc drive when it's standing up, and for some reason, it popping into the bottom, I don't know how well that would work out for vibration. I think Microsoft has suspended it up like midway up the tower on purpose to try to hold it there and try to eliminate any vibrations that they can. Next up, we have this one from Let's Go Digital. They put this rendering out again after the controller showed up. They just kind of put it next to the controller. They didn't make as big of a deal out of it, but I look at this one and I think they are closer to what the idea for a PS5 Slim model would be like years down the line. This is a very minimalistic approach to the PlayStation 5, and I do still think Sony has that mindset, especially if the controller that's being paired with it has kind of this futuristic look to it. They might go more minimalistic. My only concern here is while the whole thing has that minimal feel to it, it has a massive light bar you can see there going up the side, and I know they eliminated it, of course, off of the controller, and they wanted to go with a more subtle kind of light bar that basically bleeds light out through the touchpad. This is like really in your face, and it also goes around the bottom. Like, this is, to me, it would be a boring design for the PlayStation 5, yes, but it does still have that two-tone, the white and then the black kind of center there, couple USB ports on the front, and I do like the idea of what appear to be physical buttons. That is something I would like the PS5 to have, because, of course, with the PS4, we had kind of these weird touch buttons. But looking at this design, I don't know if this is what Sony would show up with, because it's a little too subdued to me to kind of like just put out there and say, look, here's the PS5. It almost looks just like a Blu-ray player. Although I will give them credit for this. I like the idea of them having like the different symbols on the bottom there for the side for it to stand up on, kind of like pads. That does seem like something Sony would play around with the idea for, considering they like to kind of sneak those in as Easter eggs. Also, big props there for having Darkness 3 as a disc in there. Hopefully that does eventually happen. But out of the fan renderings, this one here is my favorite. It's from Brian C. Wharton. It's not too subdued from what we just saw with Let's Go Digital to where it looks too minimalistic, but it's also not, to me anyway, way too over the top. Now, I don't think this is what Sony would necessarily show up with, but I wouldn't be shocked if this is something they had in like the back of their mind, or as one of the drawings on their concept board that they have up there while they're R&Ding the thing. And something else that I like about this is it keeps the idea around of what Sony has been doing with their dev kit when it comes to cooling. And that's kind of that V shape in the middle there, right? Where the top, if you look down on it, looks like a V or Roman numeral 5. And I like the PlayStation symbol there. I like that if you kind of zoom in, they have all the symbols there kind of just repeated over and over again, but it could even have like a bit of a texture to the top of it. I really like the idea of this one here. 3 USB ports right on the front there. Great. And then it looks like we do have physical buttons. Again, though, the ring, like that big blue ring all the way around the edge, I don't know if Sony's going to get that wild or that crazy with their LEDs. Nothing like that. But this right here, if I had to pick out of the renderings I just looked at, Brian C. Wharton, I think, has the best one. And I believe he also has it, yep, there we go, in all black, which... The controller, I think, looks way better in all black. I've seen some renderings of the controller where it also had the different buttons, like the circle, triangle, square, and all those. Those were all highlighted with their individual PlayStation colors right against kind of the all black, and I like the idea of that. We need a matte black PlayStation 5 controller bad. Oh, and this one was like kind of the PlayStation Grey. Again, looks pretty good. I just think this design works with kind of the two-tone and the black finish at the top there with all of the symbols. This one, yes, by Brian C. Wharton, to me, if I had to buy one of these and I'm like, okay, what would the PS5 look like? This would be it right here. I've also been wondering more and more about that dev kit, by the way, kind of the idea of Sony having some sort of larger investment than usual when it comes to cooling and attempting to maybe steer away from a tower that Microsoft has had to do. Yes, the PS5 is technically less powerful, but it's still going to be interesting to see them cool that much power in a smaller rectangular box. And I have been wondering if there's more to that dev kit than people are thinking with that heatsink design, and I hope they keep something like that, because I would love to get it apart and see what they're doing and how they've managed to cool it in that way. But we'll see, or maybe it comes out and looks just like what Let's Go Digital's done, a very minimalistic box with the PlayStation symbol on it. But let me know which one you guys like the best. I'll leave links down below if you want to get a better, higher resolution look at them. Make sure you guys like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.